Call to order, City of Cannon Falls City Council meeting for Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. If I could get a roll call, please.
Gesme.
Here.
Grote. Jepson.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Cronenberger.
Here.
Lindell.
Here.
Montgomery.
Here, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could get a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Motion from Lindell, second by Johnson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Gets us to public input. Public input is intended to afford the public an opportunity to address concerns to the City Council. Public input will be no longer than 30 minutes in total length, and each speaker will have no more than 3 minutes to speak. Speakers may address topics relevant to the governance of the city. Speakers must sign up in advance and must provide their name, address, and the topic they intend to address. Comments must be on topic, respectful, pertinent to city business, and adhere to the applicable data privacy rules. Any speaker that violates these rules will be asked to sit down. If the speaker refuses to comply, they may be removed from the building. Speakers shall not address topics that are the subject of a public hearing. All such comments shall be made at the public hearing. The City Council will not generally act on issues raised by the public input, but may choose to schedule consideration of the item on a future agenda. Leading off, Aaron McMahon.
Hi, I'm Erin McMahon, 612 Huffman Street, Cannon Falls. Derek Lindell, you're my favorite council person. Hi. So I want to ask the council, and I know you can't answer, if you know what a paper tiger is. I'm going to tell you what the definition is, because there's a guy in the audience who calls me a Karen every week, and he might not know. It refers to something or someone that claims to be powerful but is actually ineffectual and unable to withstand a challenge. That's how I feel the city council is right now. You're just a big old paper tiger, and the fair's got a big old match. My summer was ruined, and I don't want to have any more summers ruined. I don't think you should be negotiating with the fair. The fair should have a cease and desist. If I might bring another animal or two into it, you're putting the cart before the horse, negotiating with the fair. What you should be doing is getting your ordinances in order and just figure out how to enforce those. Because right now, what these guys are waiting to do is to have you amend the zone. And might I add, I understand that the zoning is going to be specific to the fair and start with an F. And I suggest you call it FU, because that's what they've been doing to the citizens of this town and the council, all right? And we've just had it. This can't go on. Unless you start enforcing things, what they're gonna do is they're going to get their zoning replaced with F, whatever, and then they're gonna ask for a conditional use permit, and then they're gonna just bring in the cars and the noisy whatevers, drones, snowmobiles, and they're gonna race them however, whenever they want, because nobody's going to enforce the ordinances, okay? And they know that. And they also know that they can't make any money unless they bring in the big cars and the noisy cars. So it's time to do something, and it's time to be serious about it. Enough negotiating. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Kurt Beisel.
Thank you for listening again, Council. Kurt Beisel, 1231 West Minnesota Street. I'm just going to kind of state what I wrote down here. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. Okay, residents on the west side have been patiently waiting for the appropriate time to be taken to eliminate the track which was illegally developed within the city limits of Cannon Falls. 3 weeks ago, the city attorney presented options which could be taken by the council depending upon what the outcomes might be. Based upon the city attorney's research, it was of her professional opinion, the Fair Board was not an agricultural society, but rather a fair association. This research should have never been placed upon the city, but rather, as mentioned, should have been the responsibility of the Fair Board. Why did they not even pursue this? Further discussion led to the opinions of the council members. It was disheartening to hear several members mention they did not want to track within city limits, but maybe we can negotiate terms with the Fair Board. What about the residents of the community? Have you not been listening to what we are saying or experiencing? Are we no longer able to see the forest through the trees? This track was constructed illegally. Due diligence and responsibilities by the Fair Board was never performed. Now we have a for-profit organization coming into our community only to destroy the right to enjoyment of the residents on the west side and beyond. Would the outcome of the track have been different knowing the Fair Board wasn't an agricultural society in the first place? I have to believe the council would have backed the Planning Commission's recommendation not to, and yet now we're going back again to the council or to the Planning Commission for something else. I don't know why. You already know what they said. Why is it even up for negotiation? This year, our taxes continue to go up. We accept this, knowing it supports our community and the municipalities within. Where is the city's support for its residents? Have you forgotten where your commitments lie? The burden from the illegal steps taken has now been placed upon the residents on the west side. Look around you. How many have been up on the west side to experience what we do? This may be a rhetorical question, but I want you to ask that. How many here have been up there? How can you compromise without knowing what we experience? You have a responsibility, no matter how difficult, to do what's in the best interests of the residents themselves. And that's the tough part, because I don't think you're doing that right now. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. We are the number one priority here. And how many people have been negotiating with us or talking to us on the west side in your negotiations of this possible zoning ordinance? We haven't heard anything, but there's negotiations going on, and we haven't heard anything other than the fact that there's discussion being made. You're talking about just eliminating microsprints. Do you know what other cars sound like and how much noise they make? You're only listening to what the Fair Board's telling you, and you know what that happened, what that got you 2 years ago. We'd like a little representation. Thank you.
Thank you. Last one tonight, Jim Hoffman.
Hi, Jim Hoffman, 917 Park Street West. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I want to speak about something that's been frustrating me since the last city council meeting. Councilmember Johnson commented that our ordinances have no teeth. Other council members agreed, along with the city attorney. I couldn't agree more. They have no teeth. We don't even enforce the simplest ones, at least the way they're written. To my knowledge, we don't enforce any of them. If we did, maybe we wouldn't have unresolved issues concerning things like fences, parking, fireworks, junk cars, excessive noise. We have ordinances for all these things, yet we never seem to enforce any of them. We used to enforce them. What's changed? At the last meeting, the blame for the change fell on the county attorney. This isn't an acceptable response to me, and it shouldn't be to this body. If you're looking for an example of how we used to enforce ordinances, not all that long ago, if you had an unlicensed car at your residence, you either licensed it, moved it inside, or got rid of it. And it was the police department that showed up to give you a citation if you didn't. That was very effective. I don't know how things are handled now, and all I'm saying is we need to be held accountable, and we will not be accountable if there's no fair ordinance enforcement. On December 9th, we're going to ahead of another public hearing in front of the Planning Commission. This hearing is to consider zoning text amendments relating to racetracks, racing as conditional uses that would apply to the fairgrounds. Along with any conditional use, there could be conditions and other ordinances associated as well. Will these new ordinances have no teeth as well? I know that, oh, excuse me, I'm just reading this. I don't know why we would add more things that we can't or won't enforce. We need to figure out how to make our ordinances enforceable again, or do we just continue the way things are, doing whatever, whenever you want with little or no consequences? And I really do look forward to December 9th to find out if the Fair Board is an egg association or an egg society. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. All right, that gets us on to the public hearing, the 2025 final budget and levy public hearing. So right now I will open up the public hearing. So if anybody would like to come up and speak regarding the 2025 final budget and levies. Call number 1 to the microphone. Call number 2. Third and final chance if you'd like to talk about the 2025 budget. All right, hearing none, we will close the public hearing. And Neil, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. I'll just give you a brief summary because nothing has changed since the preliminary, in which the only thing before the preliminary budget was approved that you added was $2,500 to the chamber donation. That was the only thing that changed. So in going over, once again, you got to remember once the preliminary is approved, you got to stay the same or lower it. You can't increase it on the final. So this is a public hearing. No action will be taken tonight. The resolution to approve this will be on the next meeting. So where are we going? Let's just start at the top. The final levy for 2025 will be $3,584,090, which equals a 4.32% increase from last year. What did we get for revenues? That's $148,488 in a levy increase. We've had an Invenergy fee increase of $34,225. Local government aid was very slim this year. It was $1,361, and we reduced the investment interest a little bit down to $30,000. So, what are we doing on major expenses? We decreased in the bonds that we carry. We decreased by about $1,100. Capital equipment increase of $30,970. I'll touch a little bit on that later here. It's something that really needs to be looked at throughout the next several years. We did a $20,000 increase in municipal reserve. Now, the municipal reserve increase and budget line item is for reconstruction projects. Remember, we had that discussion on reconstruction projects. Who pays for the sewer? Who pays for the water? Who pays for the storm? The municipal reserve that we have is $450,000, but that pays for the new streets, the curb and gutter, and the restoration. So that's a piece of that puzzle that we put together over the last 5 years. And you know, as inflation has really hit us hard, I think that we need to keep looking at that one and keep tweaking that one up because streets and curb and gutter are not going to get any cheaper. Now, if you want to continue to do that program that we put together over the last 5 years, a lot of this stuff has got to keep going up. You know, the sewer fund pays for the sewer pipes, the water fund pays for the water pipes, the storm fee that you guys pay every month pays for the stormwater pipes. And when you put it all together, that creates a reconstruction project. You add all 4 of them and you have a reconstruction project. Now, everything that you did in projects last year was all paid in cash. We had saved the money, we made them investments, and it's kind of funny, but I just looked at, I don't know if, I was telling Steve, I don't remember if it was the 2016 bond that we did or the 2018. I guess it really doesn't matter, but it was a $2 or $3 million bond. It was $1.3 million in interest over the 20 years. Now, you do a project every other year, right? If you stick with this and you do a project every year, you do the engineering one year, do the construction the next year, do the engineering. That means you got 10 projects going on in that 20-year span. How many millions is that? I mean, you got to think in millions on what that does. It's a big number. You could use that money for a lot of stuff. But the thing is, you got to keep up. And if you don't keep up with inflation, this thing's going to fall completely apart. So just a heads up that it would sure be nice to see in 10 years that you still are paying for $2-3 million projects every other year. And say, wow, we just saved $5 million in interest on this, or whatever the number might be. So, enough bandwagon. One of the other things that we really should talk about, and I brought it up at the preliminary, is how the ambulance is out of whack. And I've been having conversations with Tim. And, $120,000, it's not our fault. It's the lack of payment from the state. They've got to pick up the slack. When Medicare doesn't take, or federal or whatever, it's a federal program, when they don't pay what we ask them to pay, which, what do we get, 30-40% of it? Doesn't pay the bills. We got to figure out how we're going to close that gap. Yeah, the state, they did give us a grant last year to cover for 2025, but where are we going to go from there? That'll be John's job to guide you guys through this for next year. It's $120,000. Where are you gonna fill that in? We're covered this year, but it's something that needs to be talked about, and not just in the city of Cannon Falls. The ambulance got a big service area. I think everybody should participate that's in that service area. It'd be a shame to have, as they did in a neighboring town, to have an ambulance, and they do a contract with a local hospital. In that agreement that they said they'd keep the ambulance in town, but then drive it to Rochester every day. This just isn't right. You don't want that. You need your ambulance service. So that's got to get worked on. There's a lot of work to do there. I think there's a lot of people that should come to the table and have that discussion, because it's very important. You can't run a deficit forever. So another thing I was just going to touch about is keeping up with inflation. We put in another 30,000. $30,900 this year in the capital equipment. That's just a little drop on when you think about all of the equipment, the ambulances, the fire, the police, the public works, and you look around and all that steel that's got to get paid for and replaced. You're going to have to keep moving that up. If you do it every year, we might catch up. And in the future, you can't levy your way out of it in 1 year, but you still got to go and keep that increasing over time. It's nice to be able to. I look back in the files, and we're actually still paying for a rescue that we bonded for. When I first got here, we had borrowed money for a street sweeper. We can't do that. $88,000 in interest for that rescue truck. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be putting that money away and taking care of business in that way. That $88,000 will buy you 2 squad cars, right? So I knew I was going to talk a lot about the future, because I'm not going to be here after the first of the year, and John's going to take over, and I'm going to leave it at that. Numbers are numbers. You can go through them. You know what's going on. They haven't changed from the preliminary, but it's nice to give you a future forecast, right, on how things are going to look. And some thoughts. I know there's a few you're going to be missing, but I know there's a couple of them that are out here in the audience that are going to be sitting in the chairs up here for the next budget cycle. So I guess I'll leave it at that, and got any questions, I'll take them.
Questions, comments, anything that people noticed in the budget that they didn't have a question about? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the 2025 final budget.
Information only.
This was the public hearing.
Next meeting, you'll get a resolution stating
Got
the
it.
numbers. Yep.
Got it.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Neil. That gets us to our consent agenda. The consent agenda items may be adopted under one motion as presented or may be removed for discussion and resolution as council business. Item A, just and correct claims, accounting period ending November 25th, 2024. Item B, meeting minutes for November 12th, 2024 City Council meeting. Item C, Resolution 2792, authorizing bank signatures. Item D, Resolution 2793, adopting the Goodhue County 2024 Hazard Mitigation Plan. Item E, approve 2025 contracted police services rate. Item F, approve disposal of unclaimed and abandoned bicycles. Item G, approve disposal of metal collected for the police department. And item H, approve tract escrow agreement. Is there anything the council would like to pull down and make council business?
H.
H will become council business B. Anything else from the council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion from Jepson,
I'll second.
second from Grote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Gets us to our council business. Item A, the fire department pension increase. And Chief Miller is missing, but Ferlin, if you're here in place.
So I got put in here as the B squad, so work with me. Last minute deal. Just to talk about the Relief Association and our pensions. We go to call volume, it kind of bases on like we're talking with ambulance too. I mean, back in 2020, we ran 353 calls, 21, 445 calls, 22, 457 calls, 23 up to 579, and 567 to this date of this year. So the Relief Association Board met in October to discuss the pension improvement. The pension is currently overfunded to the following. We did 5 years ago, the board, with the recommendation of our investors, supported the fire department membership, would like to raise our yearly service credit from $2,700 a year to $3,000. Now, where some of that comes from is now we get state aid check of $70,000 versus $40,000 prior. So that's what we're here for, to see if we get an increase in that from, under our recommendation, to go from 27 to 3,000.
Any questions or comments from the council for Ferlin or for Neil?
I did verify the numbers, and they are correct, so I'm all in.
All right. Discussions or questions?
Well, if it's in their budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got it covered.
Does that require any action from us?
I'll make a motion to approve the pension increase.
Motion from Lundell, second from Gesme. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Gets us to item B, the approve the tract escrow agreement. Diane, you pulled it down.
And I have no problem with the escrow agreement per se. And I realize that this is not city-owned land at this point, but I do, and I know I asked at the meeting, what financial commitment they're gonna want from us to build this building that, once they build it, will actually not have an occupant. And I just wanna to reaffirm my opposition for us giving them any financial handouts for this project. I don't, and I mean, this covers us for this stage, but just going forward to make sure it doesn't sneak up on us through a back door.
Or any questions that you have for Neil or just the statement?
Just a statement.
Okay. Any response? Okay. With that said, are there any other questions or discussion from the council? Hearing none, I would seek a motion to approve the tract escrow agreement.
So moved.
Motion from Jepson.
Second.
Was it Laura?
Yep.
Second from Laura. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. That gets us to our reports. Chamber of Commerce, Maggie is not here, but I heard it was a great Deck the Falls. I don't know if Father Christmas was there this year or not. I don't know. Was he? Oh, okay. All right. All right. See if
Grinch was
you
there.
got the costume out again. Joint Powers Trail Board. Did you guys meet?
We did.
We did.
We Zoomed.
Must have been a good one.
Obviously.
I don't remember. Shoot.
Previous,
Did take better notes.
or bring them with. That would have helped.
Right before Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, they're
It was
just still
pretty
working
quick a
on.
meeting. It was like
yeah.
a half hour Zoom.
It's all right.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go around the horn. Laura, if you have anything.
I just wanted to give an update for Hardwood Estates. 2 of the models are fully completed. 5 lots are under construction for 3 single-family homes and then a set of twin homes. We've got 4 lots that are under contract and 1 that's in some tough negotiations right now, I guess with the builder, not with us. But anyway, so we've got some good progress. Had another really good conversation with someone today. So that's kind of all I have regarding that. But I just want to take an opportunity also to thank Councilmember Lundell, Gesme, and Grote for your support service and just what you've done in the past few years that you've been on. So I just appreciate it. And Neil as well. So in case he tries to sneak out of the next meeting or something, I just wanted to say what a great mentor he's been to me. And we've really moved a lot of dirt in the last 4.5 years. So, and that's also thanks to your support as well. So thank you to Neil and all of you. Thanks.
Thanks. Thanks, Laura. You've been busy. If there's anything that you'd like to update.
Just a brief update on some stuff. One, we have some significantly cold weather coming tomorrow, some major wind chills, sub-zero temperatures. So make sure you check on your loved ones, especially if individuals are struggling with the heat. Remember, bundle up when you're out in the cold, etc. Next, as the assistant fire chief, he's the B squad, I'm the C squad. As you can tell that we've been extremely busy. Hats off to our neighboring communities for their support. We had a significant response from not only Goodhue County agencies, but Dakota County really came up to the plate in the middle of the night, sending a significant amount of resources. So hands off to all of them, hands off to our fire department. They're out there still working as we speak, and we hope for a positive outcome hopefully soon. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Sarah. Shelley.
I just have a brief update on the Fair Association situation. After the last council meeting and your thorough discussion, staff and I communicated and decided on a plan of action. I reached out to the Fair Association's attorneys, and I believe we are making some positive steps moving forward, beneficial to both sides. We are working towards a negotiated solution. The threshold issue was the racing of the loudest cars, the micro sprints. I believe some of the comments were racing may be okay, but just not the noise, not the nuisance piece. So their request back is that they do want to come under one zoning district. Currently they're split between 2. So we have an opportunity to do some cleanup in terms of our zoning map, getting things put in place sort of fresh and new. So what we've done is we're going to present to the Planning Commission next week an ordinance amending the zoning code to create a new zoning district that will be structured like your other zoning districts to have permitted uses, permitted accessory uses, and conditional uses. And we're working with the Fair Association to be mindful of how they use their property so that we can capture the fair itself for those few days that it has the fair. Then there are uses that will be presented for other permitted uses during other times of the year, which may be horse shows. There's some demolition derbies that occur on holidays. These are just examples. So we're going to try to incorporate and encapsulate everything that is about the relationship. The accessory uses, they'll deal with things such as parking. There may be some concerns of parking we want to address, but also allow the Fair Association, I do believe, does some RV storage through the year, through the winter, passive use. So we want to make sure we're mindful of those types of things. And then, of course, the conditional use will be the racing. And we're really drilling down into that to understand the noise levels, to understand. And they've been very cooperative with us and giving us information very quickly so that we can work through these issues and present something to the planning commission that's not only comprehensive, but can be enforced through the permitting process, and is, you know, addresses all of the issues we've talked about over these past, you know, months. So again, the plan is to present our draft to the planning commission next Monday. And then however that goes, it would come back to the council the following week for a first reading of an ordinance. Questions?
Will we get it wrapped up this year?
That's the plan.
Okay.
And we're certainly moving that direction. And again, cooperation from the Fair Association has helped out a lot. So we'll hopefully have all of our questions answered by next Monday.
Fingers crossed.
If we have the first reading on the next council meeting, December 17th, would we just schedule a special meeting for the second reading before the calendar year turns over?
You can do that, yes. We have time to do that. It would be towards the 30th, I think, is what we looked at, but we can still do that.
Any other questions from the council? All right. Neil?
Thank you.
Thanks, Shelley.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but when you hear, you know, the police talk and the fire talk and how vital that funding is, and I'm just going to reiterate your task for next year on keeping these things very active and very proactive. It's kind of important. That's all I got. Thanks.
All right. Laura?
I'm good.
Lisa?
Nothing tonight?
Brian?
Good.
Derek?
If Chief McCormick were here, he would remind us about the winter parking ordinances. If it looks like snow's coming, get off the road so the Public Works crew can plow. That's about it.
Yeah. And remind people to shovel. I went out and did it because some of my neighbors did it. Sidewalk looks great. Some didn't, and I know we're going to get the 40s in the weekend, but try to get rid of it within 24 hours if you can. I believe that is the ordinance or the code. Diane?
A special hats off to police, fire, and all the related groups that are still working to find the missing person. It's incredible how much personnel has been out there and will continue until our neighbor is found.
Steve?
Nothing.
Hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Moving ahead to the holidays, like we said, planning, then council, and maybe a special meeting. So we will be in touch. All right. I take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Lisa, second from Diane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're done. Thank you, everybody.